And hello, we are live. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Good to see you. So, are you ready for the for being made smarter by me and me getting smarter by you?
I think so. I think it's going to
Awesome.
be a little unfair advantage today, though,
Why?
because you always make me smarter.
No worries, no worries. Good. So, first of all, it's important to mention that we are doing this as a means to raise awareness for the Build Your Tribe Challenge, which is this thing, namely the 30-day connection challenge, which begins on the 20th of May. Build Your Tribe is meant to help anyone who wants to create a little bit more awareness for themselves. And yeah, it says what it does what it says on the box, right? Build your tribe so that you win more friends, influence more people, and ultimately win more clients. And so Build Your Tribe is a 30-day challenge that starts on the 20th of May, and people can join simply by looking at this post that you are hopefully seeing this through, and simply go to the see more button at the very bottom of it, and there in the post itself just click on the join the email list, buildyourtribe.co, and join the Build Your Tribe LinkedIn group. And in there, once you are in there, you'll receive all the detailed instructions on what we're going to do when we all kick this thing off on the 20th of May. Cool. Anything to add, Scott?
No, sounds great.
Awesome. Good. So I thought that I would make you smarter in terms of building tribes by looking at to the topic of narrative. Are you ready for this?
Love it.
Awesome. Let's do it. So, as a starting point, a tribe needs to be composed of two things largely, right? And that is you need to connect with people. There needs to be a connection element. You reaching out to them, starting conversations, and being effectively on a one-on-one basis a sounding board for them, right? So that's the one thing. And I know this is your core expertise, and I'm pretty sure this in this area of the connecting and activating your existing network, that's where you're going to make me smarter today.
Okay.
However, what you also have to have is the kind of on the content side of things, there needs to be some quality content, right? You need to be a smart person that people want to interact with, either smart or very empathetic, depending on what your audience needs. And this kind of the having something to offer is such a core component in this. And those two things are like yin and yang, right? You will get, and they reinforce each other, right? It's going to be much easier for you to reach out to people if you're perceived as somebody who's highly competent in their field. And also, once you get highly competent in your field and being perceived as the expert, the outreach itself will become so much easier. And also, because of that outreach, then your content will become better because you know what people respond to. So it's a really beautiful, mutually reinforcing thing, right? And so you'll only build a tribe if you offer quality information. But just adding value, right, which is what everybody of the LinkedIn gurus is preaching, just adding value doesn't cut it anymore. Your insights must be embedded in an overarching intellectual framework. Okay, sounds like big words, but it's you can also say that you need to be completely absorbed by your mission. Right? There's two elements of this. There needs to be like an overarching framework, but also you need to be seen as being really passionate about what you do. Like, for example, you, Scott, you have a really good way of positioning yourself with your word, the refluencer, right? For you,
Hmm.
very much your personal brand is connected to the topic of activating your existing network, which is one of the reasons why we're doing this challenge together, because I want to learn from you in this area, because you are great at this. And so you seem to be in everything that you say, even via your apple orchard method. There you really make it clear that you live and breathe what you are preaching. So that's a very good element that you have about your content and your narrative. And so your mission needs to follow a narrative. Okay. And what is narrative? It's the standard definition is that I just Googled is a spoken or written account of connected events, a story. It's fine. It's a little bit, it's a bit lifeless. What I think is narrative, and that you see this very much kind of lived in the news, is a framework that you use to interpret reality. a lens through which you see the world. And it's actually a good idea to look at the political sphere, right? Just two examples here. Who are the masters of narrative? Those are the guys from Pod Save America, which is a liberal / left-wing podcast. And so they're looking at the world, and they conclude things like the rich need to pay their fair share in taxes. Any family format is fine. Men can become women, right? Whereas when you look on the right side of the spectrum, Ben Shapiro would say things like the rich are already paying the vast majority of the taxes. The traditional family is the best. Your sex is an immutable characteristic. And so those are both types of narratives. Both of these people are looking at the same set of facts. They're looking at the world as it is. And they arrive at different beliefs of how the world should be. And that's why they are masters of narrative, because, as we all know, political beliefs, political parties, political movements have a lot of traction. People really follow this, and very often, people go to war for this kind of stuff because these things trigger emotions. And so valuable content is one thing. It triggers the brain. But a belief-based narrative is the thing that triggers the heart, and you need both in order to be successful in tribe building. And so now let's take it away from the area of politics and look at it from a business sense. This is one of the best narrative builders that I know, Chris Walker at Refine Labs. I quote him quite often. And so he started his business with a narrative. This is what he has encountered in his previous career. And it's also a little bit of his origin story, right? So his core narrative is big B2B does marketing wrong by chasing high volume leads, which have a low likelihood of closing. It's much better to build systems to attract leads to you and deeply connect with your target audience. And he has grown, just to prove his point, he's grown a 100-people agency in 3 years and is now considered the gold standard for a new way of B2B marketing. He created a movement. Being part of narrative, and this is harping back to the political narrative types, is he doesn't mind pissing people off. He polarizes his audience. He regularly says how old school companies are doing it wrong. He very often, he does it in a friendly, polite, diplomatic way, but he is very firm in this belief. They're just doing it wrong. It just doesn't work anymore. It's getting more and more difficult. And he also, and this is a key aspect of narrative, he has a few content pillars that he repeats over and over again. For example, collecting and approaching low intent leads is bad. Don't do it. Or another one is customer insight happens in the dark social environment. It means that you need to be online, you need to be part of the conversation, you need to be in the comment section to really understand what your customers are struggling with. Another one would be marketing is being treated like sales enablement by most B2B companies, not like its own discipline, right? And so there's several more, but when you listen to his podcast, which I very much recommend, is called State of Demand Gen. When you do that, you keep hearing him returning back to those same content pillars. And all of those things then together jointly form the narrative that he is with. And you should see he started a podcast. He's a great community builder as well, not just a narrative builder, but he started a podcast that is effectively a Q&A podcast. And he just attracts, dozens, if not hundreds of people into his weekly shows. And they are just there to ask him questions about marketing. Right. And of course, all of this stuff is really nuanced and can be, fodder for great additional information that they want to hear from him. And this, he also attracts a very kind of passionate crowd, right? So those guys would, vouch for him. And I've been on some of those calls and I've heard people say really like that he changed their lives with his narrative, right? In terms of change their lives in that they applied what he's preaching, got promoted, got a better job, left a job that they hated, and so on. And so those are the kind of the side effects of having a strong narrative. Another great example of having a strong narrative is my friend Evan Thompson, who has really outstanding engagement on his content. Look, he has even less than 500 followers, and he regularly gets, engagement of 20 and more likes, again, because he has a very strong narrative. And also, narrative is a lot also about style and narrative frameworks, right? He constantly draws on the topic of ancient wisdom, classic literature, authors like Sun Tzu and classic warfare literature and so on. He also is very much founded, he has a real philosophical foundation. He's founded in the philosophy of realism, Thucydides, Machiavelli, Edmund Burke, and so on. And then his content pillars are: the business owner is the modern emperor. You need to be ruthless and always vigilant. People are out there for you. Bad performance need to be punished, and so on. So all of this, quite like a Spartan Machiavellian attitude, he's incredibly consistent with this. You can say he has a great personal brand. Those things are, the borders are quite fluid between personal brand, having a narrative and all of that. But narrative really focuses on your content, right? That's what I want to impress here upon you, is that the narrative manifests itself in the content. You need to be carrying a flag, think political persuasion, and so on, right? You need to be, holding the banner up for something and gathering followers around you, right? So finally, last slide, how do you develop a narrative? I would say start with creating a mantra, pillars, and strong opinions, right? What is your overarching mantra? This is an example of mine. My overarching mantra is winning clients leads to freedom. It's as simple as that. And then the pillars in it, and there's just a small section of it, is much more below that. But just to give you an idea, I have content pillars in the area of mindset, discipline, in the topic of how to create an offer, market validation, and so on. And in all of those, I have strong opinions. Not all of those are outrageously polarizing, right? But they are, and this is so key. And if you only take away one thing, create strong opinions that a reasonable person could disagree with, right? You don't want to have statements like, oh yeah, my personal opinion is that people are the greatest assets of a company. Yeah, no one would disagree with that. That's not a strong opinion. And so if you have this opinion, that's great, but then it's not a strong opinion. Try to create something a little bit more subtle, a little bit more where other people might disagree with you. For example, my topic of the number 3 here in the mindset pillar is being the alpha in the room does half the selling for you, and it can be learned. Sales really is very much about impressing upon your prospect that you are someone who can help them solve their problem. As such, you need to be perceived as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And and a strong part of being a leader is there needs to be some kind of like alpha. And I don't mean like, subordination behavior, but in terms of you are a strong and confident leader. And that is something that a reasonable person could disagree with. They will say, no, sales needs to be done in a different framework. You need to be the consultative seller. You need to be the supporter, the coach, and so on, right? So if you want to get started with a narrative, start with this, create a mantra, and build pillars and really dig inside yourself. It's also a great exercise to really uncover what you personally believe, and then iterate on those things. Those things should be regularly in your content. All those strong opinions. And that's it.
So I have a question. We hear online from 1,000 gurus about the power of storytelling. What's the difference between a narrative and being a storyteller?
I think storytelling is applicable within the strong opinions, right?
Okay.
You could state a strong opinion, for example, being the alpha in the room does half the selling for you. You can simply say that and just elaborate on that. Or you could just package it up in the story. And your content could be something like, Scott was looking out the window. The prospect wasn't about to close. And Scott recalled one key lesson that he learned from his sales coach, ... And then the lesson is all about being an alpha. That's storytelling, right? So I 100% agree. Storytelling is important. It's always better to embed one of your strong opinions inside a story.
Love it.
Awesome.
And I need that spreadsheet. I think we all have to use that spreadsheet. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, just you can, anybody watching this, you can screenshot it. And I can also post a link to it in the comment section. Cool.
Sounds good. All right.
Awesome.
There's your 15 minutes of fame.
Awesome. Gone. Cool. Now your turn, my friend.
All right. Well, we're going to definitely discuss some similar attributes of Build Your Tribe, but I'm going to take this in a little different direction. And this being the very first, how to say, make each other smarter video, and we'll have one next Friday and the following Friday, all leading up to May 20th. And just FYI, we are making each other smarter. We're not saying we're making you smarter. So this,
You may
you're
already
getting,
probably know this.
yeah, you guys probably know this. What we're trying to do though is make this concept of build your tribe very simple. It's easy to run down rabbit holes and add a lot of layers and nuances and tactics. And really what we're talking about is just a very simple strategy that we're going to build upon over the next several weeks. And then of course, as we go into the 30-day challenge, we'll get there. So I'm going to attempt to share my slides. And by the way, this is a really cool tool that Michael's using called StreamYard. If you are not a subscriber to StreamYard, you should, because this is the tool that allows you to actually get out into LinkedIn. And I believe on YouTube, I think you can do Facebook and a bunch of other social media channels live through this tool. So, all right, so let me add my slide here. And hopefully you guys will be able to see this. It says it's processing. But one of the things too, Michael, that I thought was very interesting, what you brought out in your narrative, is that having not only the framework like you put in your spreadsheet, you never wake up asking, what do I have to talk about? Because you're creating now this list of ideas and concepts. And I'm a huge proponent of just taking client conversations that I have each day, and literally from that will come 2 or 3 ideas, because I guarantee you, if one of your clients is having a challenge or an issue in a certain area, a lot of other people are too. So and I do like the fact that no, we don't necessarily need to politicize every idea, but almost act like you're running for mayor of your community, of
I love it.
your market, of your audience. So be the mayor, and think about what a mayor stands for in their community, right? So, all right, so everyone knows these words, and I want to kind of translate these words into what a tribe is. And we think of fans, clans, allies, peers, groups, network, society, community. I think community gets thrown around, especially on social, a lot, and gets a little bit diluted. But these really are all the basis of what a tribe actually is. So if someone says, I think actually, Michael, since we've started posting the last few weeks or last few days, somebody said, I'm not really into the tribe thing. So, which is fine, which is 100% fine. If you don't want to join a tribe, or you might already be part of like 16 different groups, whether it's through Facebook or LinkedIn, or maybe your fitness, you're an Orange Theoryist, you go to a certain group or meetup in your community. It's all the similar idea. What we're trying to do though is show you that building a tribe isn't necessarily you are all in and everybody's getting full back tattoos because now you belong to this tribe. It is an ideology. It is something that you are buying into because you appreciate what the tribe is offering. So let's see, here's our, one of the things when we were starting to put this together, there's a book out there by Seth Godin that talks about tribe building, and he described tribe as a group of people that are connected to one another, connected to a leader, and then connected to an idea. And we're not saying necessarily that Michael and I are stepping in as a leader or your leader as part of this Build Your Tribe, although we are leading the concept, we are leading the idea, we are leading this strategy of how to not only build up others around you, but also to create lasting relationships, find new clients, new opportunities, and we'll talk about that. But which we've given you. Number one, a shared interest. Okay, well, the shared interest of building a tribe is being part of a tribe that is out to help one another, to build each other up. What's the old adage? A high tide raises all boats, right? So if we're all kind of focused on each other's success, guess what? All of us rise to a new level. And then, of course, a way to communicate. And we are choosing to use LinkedIn to do that. Of course, obviously, you'll be receiving emails from us through our email platform, and you can reach out to us off of LinkedIn as well. But we're using LinkedIn as this channel to communicate. So that is essentially the two things you need. You need shared interest and a way to communicate. So what does that necessarily mean when we talk about value? And you were talking about value earlier, Michael, and having a narrative. Well, the value of being part of a tribe is two things, really. One is being a cheerleader. So you have one part cheerleader and one part truth teller. So oftentimes, especially as solopreneurs, small business owners, especially in a post-pandemic world, we are living, I feel like, in a 6 foot hangover. Like I was just at the store the other day, and there's no stickers on the floor. No one's wearing masks anymore, but everybody is still spread apart. And so we've kind of we still live in this new, I don't know, world of like we're all kind of just like don't get too close. And I believe that gives us like this sense of, I don't know, like we're needed to stand off a little bit, or we need to, not get close to one another, when really before the pandemic we were at meetups and concerts and, I mean, sharing sweaty t-shirts and all that stuff. And now we have this kind of this pandemic hangover, which, as being part of a tribe, our goal is to help us feel like we're all in the same room, even if you and I are spread thousands of miles apart, which, just for our audience sake, Michael, you are in Austria and I'm in Colorado. So it is literally thousands of miles apart.
Yeah.
So the other part is being one part truth teller. And what does that mean? So the truth teller part is being upfront, being frank, being honest. If there's something that you feel like someone in your tribe can benefit from, whether it's your experience or expertise, or maybe you even saw something, or you called someone out because their links aren't working, right? So I have a client that publishes all the time, and because we're part of the same tribe, I'm very interested in his content, so I'm always clicking on, and sure enough, a couple of his links were broken. So I reached out and said, hey, just so you know, 2 of your links are broken, so that means the intended result isn't working. If you feel like you don't want to offend anybody, you're never going to do that. Well, that person doesn't get the benefit of fixing that problem, and nor do you get the benefit of seeing the end result. So being a truth teller means, telling people how it is, even if you feel like, it doesn't give you carte blanche to be a jerk or an a-hole, but literally you can give that honest feedback, which is what a good tribe will provide. So another thing too is a good tribe equals success acceleration. So where you're in a boat, think of 2 rowers, and in one boat it's just a single guy paddling, right? So he's got his oar and he's paddling, either with the current, against the current. But when you have 2, you have equal pressure now. You have more people applying pressure in the water, so you're going faster. Do you? I'm going to say something very American. So if you don't know NASCAR, let me know. But the whole thing with NASCAR is, first of all, they race around a circle in one direction. They all turn left, which I don't think, I guess for Americans, that's really exciting. Unlike F1, where it's, you actually have to be a skilled driver. But the point is 2 cars on a track, one's going 200 miles an hour, but when one gets right behind it, they can go 205 miles an hour. And so think of a tribe as people lined up with a common goal, heading toward a single direction, and they're drafting and they're all going faster. Now, there's somebody leading and there's somebody that's behind them. So don't think, well, I'll never win, because I will tell you, there is no winners in being an entrepreneur. There are no winners in business. You just keep going around the track, trying to get as fast as you can and be as successful as you can without wiping out. But the point with a success acceleration is you have new opportunities. One is online, just like what we're doing here in LinkedIn. You and I reached out, somehow we connected in our feeds, we started chatting, and now we're collaborating and creating, real value for the world. And the other one is offline. So don't think that you're sitting behind a keyboard all day trying to connect and that's the only place you need to be. Your existing clients, the people that are in your hometown, in your area that you serve, your advocates and ambassadors, your circle of influence, those are all people that you can continue to either build your tribe with or invite them into your tribe so that they can have that success acceleration. So remember, this isn't just about social media. This is about all facets of where those people that will be in your tribe are. That's offline and online. And then the second part of success acceleration with having a tribe is a feedback loop. So new project, new ideas, you want to bring something to market. Again, we revert back to, I was telling you about being a truth teller. If I have something I'm going to launch to market, so for instance, Michael and I, we had an idea of when we wanted to launch Build Your Tribe. Well, because we aren't afraid of having a feedback loop, we decided to postpone the actual launch of the dates so that we can create opportunities like this. If we were walking eggshells or we were afraid to offend one another, we would have just said, okay, well, we'll just figure it out. Well, we don't want to just figure it out. We want it to be the best that it can be. So that means creating now this opportunity for communication, open and honest. But this feedback loop allows you to, like, I've been in a business for 20 plus years. I've made, over my career, millions of dollars. I've lost millions of dollars. I've made millions of dollars for my clients. I have so many stories I could tell you. If you want to just reach out, if you have an idea and you're not sure it'll work, this is what your tribe will do. They'll provide this feedback loop for you. So the next one, this one is to me the most powerful. The tribe is, at the end of the day, about connecting and collaboration. So, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you go out and you're like, okay, who can I benefit from? How can I make a lot of money, or how can I generate some revenue, or how can I create a sale by who I can connect to? Which we see a lot of that. What do we call it? Pitch slapped, where every single day you might get 5, 10, 15, pitch slaps in your DM where it's like, hey, I don't know you, but go check out my offer, and if you want to sign up for it, or which is fine. I do believe there are opportunities for cold outreach, but people are connecting for these simple transaction. They're not in it for the relationship. They're not in it for tribe building. They're simply trying to meet revenue goals and quotas, and that's all they care about. A true tribe is about connecting with others, but just as important, maybe even more important, looking for opportunities where you have people over here and people over here, and you're in the center and you are the connector. That is a tribe builder. Mm-hmm. And you also are looking for opportunities for collaboration. And here's the final point of this. Even if you do not stand to personally benefit in the short term or at all. So connecting two people that could ideally create something and collaborate together, even if you don't make a sale or you don't get any personal benefit from it, is the sign of a true tribe.
Love it.
Last slide. So we have created a 30-day connection guide. We sent it out by email yesterday. When you sign up, for anybody that has not signed up for the connection challenge, you will get this automatically on the confirmation page. And if you somehow this went into your spam folder or you did not receive it, you can just DM myself or Mike, or just email support at byt22.com, and we'll send you a copy. But this will be the actual guide and the worksheets that we'll be using. So now you can kind of look at what we'll be working on. And of course, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, we'll be breaking down your I want to call it homework, but the assignments and what we'll be doing actually through this part 1 of the 30-day challenge. So that document is ready. If you didn't get it, hit us up and we will send it directly through LinkedIn DM. So that's all I have. Did you learn anything?
Love it, love it, love it. And I definitely have learned from you the fact that I need to elevate my design game. Your slides are pretty cool, and they're all very different.
Very good.
I have the standard consultant type slide approach, and it's way more varied in your case. So I love it. Good. Quick question. I'm sure we'll have that more often, but like one thought that just arose for me is when you said that even if you don't stand to benefit at all, right? Of course, I agree with the sentiment. But just to give you an idea, I once spoke with someone who kept going on virtual coffees with people. And it was all about networking. And this lady was just completely broke, right? So because she was always just, trying to be nice to everyone and connecting with everyone and not really, pushing to get a sale here and there, she was broke. So what would you say to someone who's kind of taking this to an extreme? She was like super giving and very connecting, and even if she didn't stand to gain, to a point where she didn't gain. So what would you say to someone like her?
So that is in the connecting two people. So that's where you're looking at the outlook is, if I connect these two people and, generally we're like, how do I benefit? What do I get out of it? And I'm saying that in a case where, if you're giving all your stuff away and all your advice and you're never charging anybody and you're never moving somebody to actually work with you, that's the extreme. That's the honeypotting that we talk about, that you'll never make any money. But the other part of it is connect two people and take yourself out of the equation. That's all. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I also am a huge believer in entrepreneurial karma. You do it right, then there'll be benefit down the road for you.
Exactly. Good. Excellent. We had a couple of questions on this. Should we go through them?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome. So Michael Barris asks a very important question. How could you possibly be made any smarter? Michael Bohanes, I know it's extremely hard, but somehow Scott makes it happen. Then my lovely wife says,
was that a question?
No,
that a statement?
Let's remove the personal comments.
Okay.
But this one, the breakdown, Chris, was very good. You studied Clay, studied him. Okay, no worries. I have to be more discerning with the question. Thank you, Sarah, for the compliment. I appreciate it. There is a comment here. I had this conversation on my post yesterday. Someone said they weren't really into the whole tribe thing, but they were having friends. Someone else said they prefer the term allies. I love the word community, but one way or the other, being involved in a group that lift each other up is powerful. Can only
That's our buddy Frank, who has the best last name on LinkedIn, by the way.
Absolutely. And he pronounces it in a very funny way on his profile. You should all go to his profile and listen to how he pronounces it. LinkedIn user says, is there a risk that a tribe can result in groupthink and less diverse opinions? Curious to get your comments. Scott?
That all depends on the type of tribe you join. If you're looking for a big yes tribe, they're out there. If you're looking for a tribe that has diverse people, ideas, opportunities, opinions, then that's the tribe that you'll want to join if you feel like that'll make you grow. There are people that just want to join yes tribes because they don't want to be told that they're wrong.
Exactly. And to figure out whether you're in a yes tribe is simple. If you feel like you're getting in there and you're never getting challenged, you never feel, oh, damn, like someone just told me some, uncomfortable feedback, then you're probably in a yes tribe. And we definitely don't want to build that.
Yeah, you and I have already had confrontations.
Exactly. We're totally going at each other. Maria is asking, will you be having LinkedIn Lives every Friday at the same time? Yes, Maria, absolutely. You should block your calendar. We would love to have you. Hopefully that was enough of an incentive. Hopefully you got some value today, so you will keep coming. And then finally, we have one thing I wanted to share. We had a question in the group today, so I wanted to cover that. We're a little bit over time, but let's cover that. Share screen. Let me just share this here. And this was someone in the group. And effectively, it's all about, so she's built a good personal brand on Twitter. Now she wonders how she can translate this into a professional brand. So, and I asked her about her goals. And she said, I'm considering, need me close LinkedIn. I'm considering becoming a customer success manager in about 5 years, but for the time being, my immediate goal is to learn as much as possible about sales. I'm trying to find out what I need to learn and how to learn it. I'm also looking for connections between my background as a consultant, where my clients were all provided, and what I do now. Honestly, that could be the right direction. Got my posting, how I'm learning to be a better sales and implementation specialist. So I think that touches on different things, touches on the narrative question that we discussed, but probably a little bit broader at tribe building in general. Do you want to take a first stab at an answer, Scott?
Yeah, the first thing, which I will always default to, is connect on, either it's in LinkedIn, but connect with all of your clients that you have either touched their lives, done business with, your prospects, anybody that has come into your, I'll call it your sales funnel or your pipeline. Reach out to those people because they know you, and more importantly, they probably trust you. So start there as if you're trying to transfer a Twitter base over to, let's say, LinkedIn. Just connect with those people, and then you can build from there.
Yeah, it's a great one. I think when she's asking, my immediate goal is to learn as much about sales as possible, it sounds a little bit like I'm going to talk to you now. This lady's name is Kelsey. Kelsey, it sounds like you feel that you don't feel like you know enough or a lot about sales already, right? That is possible. If you don't yet know, then here's a little framework that you can use, and you can use this in your content. And you can either be a leader or like an investigator. And usually when you want to be the leader, there's like your persona. Again, part of the narrative, right? Who are you? What kind of identity do you represent? When you are a leader, it is generally expected that you already know a lot about your domain. You need to, when you kind of share opinions and all of that, you need to already have achieved a certain level of success in this domain. And the alternative, it's perfectly valuable as well, is if you are the investigator and you effectively research other people, how they do sales. So for example, you could do breakdowns of great sales books, right? And that's like you kill several birds with one stone. You read the books, you educate yourself about sales, and at the same time, you break it down in a digestible format. So here is what whatever spin selling, the book Spin Selling, is all about, and you break it down, right? Of course, that would be over several posts, but if you simply do that, that's going to be very valuable for your audience. They will appreciate that, and you in the process, also by virtue of just writing about it, you learn a ton about it. So I think if your goal is to be a customer success manager, showcase the knowledge that a customer success manager needs to have. And that is very much about, for example, human psychology, which of course goes very much into sales as well. How to provide a really great customer experience, right? So customer experience will be another topic for you to explore. And so these kind of big chunks, those will be the content pillars for you. And instead of doing strong opinions, instead assume the role of an investigator and serve your audience by sharing other people's wisdom, for example. And gradually you yourself will form opinions based on your own experience. And so this is how the other people's views will then meld into your own. So that would be my take on that.
Yeah, and this is how you'll become a resource. Even if you're
Yes.
sharing other people's wisdom, you become the resource for that, and people will look to you.
Exactly. Cool. Awesome. We've only gone over 10 minutes. Again, please, if you're watching this and you have not yet joined the 30-day connection challenge, just go to these places. Where do we have that? Just go down on this post here, this one. Go down, click on see more, and click on these 2 links. Join the email list to receive instructions, and join the LinkedIn group. We'd love to have you there. And thanks so much for joining. Thank you, Scott, for making me smarter.
Absolutely. We'll do it again next week.
Awesome.